As sports history fans, we often reminisce about the legends. Willis Reed limping on to the NBA Finals court, Kurt Schilling's bloody sock, Kerry Strug's courageous dismount, and so many more. These moments often define sports history. But what about the countless injuries that did not become legends, or careers that were derailed due to inadequate care? That's where this episode's sponsor comes in. Introducing to you, ILP Sports Consultants, your trusted sports injury partner, available 24/7. Brian Maelli at ILP Sports Consultants has over 20 years of experience in the orthopedic and sports medicine industry, and he has worked with athletes across the gamut, from youth to amateurs, professionals, in almost every sport played in the United States of America, accommodating athletes at every stage of their career. This adaptability ensures that ILP services are perfectly tailored to your skill level, no matter where you are in your athletic journey. With ILP, you are in control. Choose the steps that matter most to you. Diagnosis, treatment plan, recovery, or the whole journey. ILP services are tailored to your unique needs. Rushing for care is a common pitfall, leading to future problems. ILP Sports Consultants helps you make the right decisions, ensuring that you receive timely and safe care. And here's a bonus. Brian hosts the Injured List podcast, sharing insights and athlete stories you won't want to miss. Whether you're a concerned parent or grandparent, or an athlete yourself seeking guidance, ILP Sports Consultants is your beacon of hope in sports injury management. Visit ilpsports.com today. That's the letters ilpsports.com. ILP Sports Consultants, where your well-being is the priority and your recovery is the mission. Choose ILP Sports Consultants for a healthier sports journey, helping you get back in the game the smart way.
In this edition of the Pigskin Dispatch podcast, we have a very unique situation that comes up that our friend Timothy P. Brown of FootballArchaeology.com came up with from a 1974 game between Rutgers and Princeton, and something was missing at the end. Tim tells us all about it in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with PigskinDispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal for positive football history, and welcome to another Tuesday where we get to go to FootballArchaeology.com's Timothy P. Brown, pick his brain a little bit, talk about one of his recent tidbits. Tim, welcome back to the Pig Pen.
Hey, thanks, Darren. Looking forward to talking again and talking about something that goes missing.
Yeah, and it's we've been missing you since last week, but that's not the missing that we're going to be talking about today.
No.
You're going to talk about a recent tidbit you titled "The Case of the Missing Goalposts." It sounds like a Sherlock Holmes theater here for FootballArchaeology.com. If I can get that out of my mouth, right?
Well, I was a Hardy Boys guy as a kid, so everything was the case of.
Yeah, that does sound like a Hardy Boys
treasure chest, something like that.
Right.
And I think Nancy drew too, but I wasn't into Nancy. So this one, the case of the missing goalposts. This goes back to the old Princeton and Rutgers. They've played the first intercollegiate soccer games in 1869. And note I did say soccer there. But then eventually they started playing football, gridiron football, and they're very close together geographically, and so they played 60 some time, whatever it was, over the years, and Princeton totally dominated the match or the matchups, but starting in the 60s, Rutgers started winning a lot, and then they kind of became the dominant team. And somewhere along the lines in the 60s that back then there were a lot of, nowadays, hardly anybody tears down the goalpost anymore because they used to, number one, they used to be constructed of prime wood, so they're easier to tear down. Um, we didn't have the same level of security a lot of those. And the other thing was that a little bit later on, when goalposts got torn down, there were a couple people that got injured, and then they sued the universities, and so da 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 da. So anyways, people have pretty much it's harder to get in. It's easier to get into Fort Knox now than it is to tear down some goalposts. So they just made it nearly impossible to tear down a goalpost. But back in the 60s, it was very common, 50s as well. People just tore them down all the time. So, what happened in the Princeton and Rutgers series was that, just no matter where the game was being played, the winning team, their fans tore down the goalposts. And then there were a couple of occasions where they tore them down before the game was over. And that happened in 1974 when Rutgers scored a touchdown earlier in the game. They didn't make the extra point, so they were leading 6-0 with like 3.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And Princeton gets the ball, and they start driving. They drive all the way down, and with 2:22, well, kind of partly during the time that they're driving, the Rutgers fans come onto the field and tear down the goalposts at both ends. So now the field doesn't have goalposts. And with 22 seconds left, Princeton scores. And so, they have an opportunity. It's 6-6. They've got an opportunity to go for the extra point or the 2-point conversion. They want to go for the extra point, but there's no goalpost to kick towards. So, the officiating crew gets together, and then they bring the coaches in, and they're having a conversation. And the Princeton AD tells the referee that they've got a spare goalpost sitting on the stands, and they can have it up in 5 minutes. Somehow that got lost in the translation, and the referee didn't hear that. He basically thought they were going to have to be, they could start building a new goalpost in 5 minutes. So they start looking at, should we go over to a practice facility, outside the stadium? But then the referee didn't want to go there because they were already having control issues. And he's like, I don't even know how far away this practice facility is. So, and then the Princeton volunteered to have their cheerleaders, had the one cheerleader mount and stand out on the shoulders of another cheerleader and hold the crossbar, in place. And then they'd attempt to kick at the
I'm just imagining an errant kick, like the double doink and taking a cheerleader out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a risk of the profession. So ultimately the ref just Princeton, it's on your home field. You're responsible for game security or field security. It doesn't matter who tore the things down. No goalposts. You have to go for 2. So Princeton goes for 2. They don't make it, so the game ends in a 6-6 tie. But basically after that, so that game in 74, and in 75, the NCAA had a requirement that facilities had to have a spare set of goalposts available that could be put up rapidly in the event that they fell down during the game. But again, it was this kind of stuff that kind of encouraged the adoption of the some people call it the fork or the slingshot style, single post goalpost, and then fortified with depleted uranium or something. They make those things, titanium, whatever it is. Those things do not come down.
Except for that the Fanville commercial, Dr. Pepper commercial a couple of years ago, where Brian Bosworth is the cop and he's looking for the missing goalposts, and one guy has a satellite dish up on it, and the other one's across the street as a swing set, and he can't find the slingshot goalpost.
Well, I know that a lot of people are fans of the Dr. Pepper commercials. I don't count in that group, so I don't remember that commercial.
I just said it because I had the reference of the missing goalpost. That's actually pretty funny when you watch it. Kind of clever.
Yeah, actually, some of them are pretty good, but
yeah, that's just something that sounds so foreign. It sounds like something maybe would happen like 1911, but 1974. This is modern era football, and
yeah.
a goalpost for a major. Two major colleges playing each other. That's just crazy. It's unbelievable that, within 50 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything else, until something happens, you don't make the rules or you don't make the investment. It's just easier. Back then it was kind of like, well, yeah, the kids are going to tear them down. So let's make them cheap because they're going to tear them down anyways, and then somebody went the other direction and said, I'm going to build me a fine goalpost. And so that's what we have today.
Yeah. The next thing you know, we're going to have bands out on the field before the game's over. Oh, wait, that did happen too.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Tim, that is some great stuff, and we always enjoy your tidbits each and every day for stories just like this, and learn something new from 50 years ago or 100 and some years ago, and we really appreciate that. And there's folks out there that would like to get in on the action too, and read your tidbits each and every day. Maybe you could give them some information to share that with them.
Sure. Best way to get to the tidbits is go to www.footballarchaeology.com, subscribe. You can subscribe for free, and then you'll get an email every day with that day's story. You can also get the Substack app, or follow where that's where Football Archaeology resides. You can also follow me on Threads or on Twitter, and I post on both of those locations every day.
All right. Well, Timothy P. Brown, footballarchaeology.com. We really appreciate you, and we will talk to you again next Tuesday.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I wanted to thank you for stopping by to listen to another episode here on the Sports History Network. Our podcasters are passionate about uncovering and sharing sports stories from yesteryear. And if you didn't know it already, we have over 30 shows across the network covering all sorts of sports history topics. In fact, here's a glimpse into one of our awesome podcasts here on the network.
Each week, the official Football Learning Academy podcast will take you deep into the history of pro football through interviews with players, coaches, or administrators in the NFL, as well as interviews with Pro Football Hall of Fame selectors, authors, and historians. You'll learn how the game evolved and important moments that shaped the sport into what it is today. And don't miss the Pro Football History Nugget of the Week. Listen to the official Football Learning Academy podcast on the Sports History Network.
How about that? I bet you're super hyped to go listen to that new podcast, right? Well, to learn about this show and all the other podcasts on the network, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com/podcast. Again, that's sportshistorynetwork.com/podcast. Head over there today to find your next favorite sports history podcast.